In the serene and seemingly idyllic town of Willow Creek, nestled amidst rolling hills and verdant meadows, a sense of unease began to permeate the air, a subtle shift in the balance of power that threatened to disrupt the tranquility that had long defined the community. This unsettling change was not the result of natural disasters or external forces, but rather the gradual encroachment of authority by the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, HOA, a once benign organization that had insidiously transformed into a tool of control and manipulation. At the heart of this unfolding drama was Arthur Sinclair, a retired judge who had sought refuge in Willow Creek after a long and distinguished career in the bustling city. He yearned for a simpler life, a respite from the complexities of urban existence, and Willow Creek, with its picturesque charm and close-knit community, seemed to offer the perfect sanctuary. However, Arthur soon discovered that the tranquility he sought was merely a facade, masking a darker undercurrent of unchecked power and insidious control. The HOA, initially a group of well-intentioned volunteers dedicated to maintaining the aesthetic appeal of the neighborhood, had gradually expanded its influence, imposing increasingly restrictive rules and regulations on the residents. What began as minor requests for lawn maintenance and adherence to property standards had morphed into a system of oppressive control, with the HOA dictating every aspect of residents' lives. Arthur, having witnessed the corrosive effects of unchecked power throughout his legal career, was immediately wary of the HOA's growing authority. He recognized the subtle signs of corruption, the gradual erosion of individual liberties, in the name of collective order. However, he remained optimistic, believing that the residents of Willow Creek, a community he had come to admire for its neighborly spirit, would not tolerate such blatant overreach. His optimism was soon shattered when he encountered Martha, a longtime resident and his neighbor, who arrived at his doorstep in a state of agitation. Martha, her face flushed with anger and frustration, led Arthur to the edge of the neighborhood, where a shocking sight awaited them. Automatic bollards, metal barriers that had been erected across the only entrance to Willow Creek, stood as a stark symbol of the HOA's encroaching power. Martha explained that the bollards were intended to restrict access to the neighborhood, allowing only vehicles with HOA-issued stickers to pass. The HOA, she revealed, had effectively transformed Willow Creek into a gated community, denying entry to residents' friends, family, and even emergency services. Arthur, his legal instincts kicking in, immediately recognized the legality of the HOA's actions. The road leading into Willow Creek was a public thoroughfare, maintained by the county, and the HOA had no legal right to restrict access. The following day, Arthur confronted Richard Palmer, the president of the HOA, a man whose demeanor exuded an air of self-importance and unchallenged authority. Richard, with a condescending smile, defended the HOA's actions, claiming that the bollards were necessary for the safety and security of the community. He asserted that the HOA had acted within its rights, citing a vote by the board as justification for their actions. Arthur, however, was not swayed by Richard's rhetoric. He challenged the legality of the HOA's actions, pointing out that the road was public property and that the HOA had no authority to restrict access. Richard, his composure momentarily faltering, dismissed Arthur's concerns, asserting that the HOA's opinion was the only one that mattered. Arthur, realizing the depth of the HOA's arrogance and the extent of their power grab, understood that this was not merely a matter of safety, but a calculated attempt to exert control over every aspect of residents' lives. He resolved to challenge the HOA's authority, to expose their corruption, and to restore the balance of power in Willow Creek. The urgency of the situation was underscored when Arthur witnessed the chaos caused by the bollards. An ambulance, its sirens blaring, was forced to a halt by the rising barriers, its front bumper colliding with the metal obstruction. Shortly after, a schoolteacher, Elena Gray, suffered significant damage to her vehicle when she inadvertently drove into the rising bollards. These incidents, Arthur realized, were not mere inconveniences, but clear and present danger to the safety and well-being of the community. The HOA's actions were not only illegal but also reckless, demonstrating a complete disregard for the lives and property of Willow Creek residents. Arthur, determined to expose the HOA's corruption, began a meticulous investigation. He delved into county property records, uncovering irrefutable evidence that the road leading into Willow Creek was indeed public property. He reviewed complaints filed against the HOA, revealing a pattern of outrageous fines, threats of foreclosure, and other forms of harassment. The HOA, Arthur discovered, was not merely overstepping its bounds, but actively engaging in extortion, profiting from residents' fear and intimidation. He resolved to take action, to bring the HOA's illegal activities to light, and to restore justice to Willow Creek. Armed with irrefutable evidence, Arthur confronted Richard Palmer at the HOA office. He demanded an explanation for the illegal bollards and the HOA's campaign of harassment. Richard, initially defiant, attempted to dismiss Arthur's concerns, but Arthur's unwavering resolve in the way of his evidence began to chip away at Richard's facade of authority. Arthur, recognizing that words alone would not suffice, sought to gather concrete evidence of the HOA's corruption. He installed hidden cameras near the bollards, capturing footage of Richard's henchman, Kyle, manually manipulating the barriers to target specific vehicles. The footage revealed that the HOA was not merely restricting access, but selectively choosing who could enter and exit Willow Creek based on their membership status. The evidence was damning, exposing the HOA's actions as a calculated campaign of control, extortion, and profit. Arthur, armed with this irrefutable proof, contacted Sheriff David Lawson, an old friend and ally from his days in the city. The sheriff, recognizing the gravity of the situation, pledged his support and vowed to bring the HOA to justice. The arrival of the sheriff's deputies at the entrance to Willow Creek marked a turning point in the community's struggle against the HOA's tyranny. Richard Palmer, initially defiant, was confronted with the weight of the law, his arrogance crumbling in the face of irrefutable evidence and the unwavering resolve of the sheriff's team. The confrontation, captured by local news cameras, exposed the HOA's corruption to the entire community. Arthur, standing alongside the sheriff, addressed the gathered crowd, revealing the HOA's illegal activities and their campaign of control and extortion. The hidden camera footage, displayed for all to see, confirmed the HOA's selective targeting of non-members, sparking outrage and a collective demand for justice. The legal process unfolded swiftly, with Richard Palmer and his accomplices facing a barrage of felony charges, including obstruction of public roadways, property damage, extortion, and fraud. The HOA, its reputation shattered, was disbanded by the residents, who reclaimed their community from the clutches of corruption. The town hall meeting, convened to address the HOA's demise, was a testament to the residents' newfound unity and their determination to rebuild their community on principles of fairness and transparency. The HOA, stripped of its power, was unable to silence the voices of the residents, who demanded accountability and a return to the values that had once defined Willow Creek. The HOA's downfall marked a victory for justice and a triumph for community, who had stood together against oppression and reclaimed their right to self-determination. The residents, empowered by their collective action, embarked on a journey of rebuilding, establishing a new committee dedicated to serving the community's best interests. The new committee, comprised of volunteers from the neighborhood, held regular town meetings, ensuring that every resident had a voice in shaping the future of Willow Creek. The rules and regulations were simplified, focusing on respect, cooperation, and the preservation of the community's aesthetic appeal. The spirit of cooperation and neighborly goodwill returned to Willow Creek, transforming the community into a haven of harmony and mutual support. The residents, no longer burdened by the oppressive control of the HOA, celebrated their newfound freedom with a community barbecue, a symbol of their unity and resilience. As life in Willow Creek returned to normal, a sense of pride and ownership permeated the community. The residents, having witnessed the power of collective action, understood the importance of vigilance and the need to safeguard their liberties. Arthur, reflecting on the events that had transpired, recognized the transformative power of community and the enduring importance of standing up for justice. He had found a sanctuary in Willow Creek, not as a place of escape, but as a place where he could contribute to the preservation of freedom and the pursuit of justice. The story of Willow Creek served as a reminder that even in the most idyllic settings, the seeds of corruption can take root, threatening to undermine the foundations of community and individual liberty. However, it also demonstrated the power of collective action and the unwavering spirit of those who refused to be silenced. In the end, the residents of Willow Creek had not only reclaimed their community, but they had also rediscovered the true meaning of neighborly goodwill and enduring power of justice. The lessons learned from their struggle would serve as a beacon of hope, inspiring others to stand up for what is right and protect the values that define a just and equitable society.